Dear students, today we would be dealing with a new topic on behavior, and that is methods of studying behavior. Now, animal behavior can be studied in wild or in laboratory. In wild, there is again no restriction on the type and size of animal. Amphibian to mammals can be observed if the terrain and climate permits. Animals are studied in their natural environment while studying behavior in wild. Animals are allowed to roam around freely. That is how they live in that particular habitat. So, the normal or the natural behavior of any animal can only be studied in wild. We try to study the behavior in the laboratory, there definitely would be some alteration. But then, if we have to study the behavior of the regulation of the behavior, then we need to do these studies. We need to conduct these studies in the laboratory. Behavioral experiments are carried on small to medium sized animals such as invertebrates, frogs, fishes, pigeons, doves, and on small mammals like rat, mice, hamster, guinea pigs, cats, dogs, and apes. These are the animals on which various experiments have been performed till date in the laboratory. These animals can be operated, or animals can be subjected to psychological tests like maze jumping, or in the Skinner box or the Thorndike box, and they are tested over grids, wheels, so on and so forth on various experimental objects. The study of brain and behavior by surgical, chemical, and electrical methods are also done in the laboratory. The experiments or the observations can also be made in the zoo. There is no restriction on the type of animal. It can be from rat to the elephant. Any animal that can survive in captivity can be studied in zoo for its behavior. In zoo, the recording of behavior is purely by ocular observations, that is by looking at the animal. No surgery or handling of animals is done. We cannot do any such studies in zoo. So, in captivity, it can be in zoo or in the laboratory. In laboratory, we can perform a number of experiments on different objects, and by surgical or electrical stimulation or chemical drug administration, and so on. Methods of studying population of wild animals is line transect, quadrate, or mark recapture methods. These methods are generally used to census or count wild animals. Census is a count or survey of a population. Population is a group of individuals of the same species living in a particular geographic area. Population ecology concentrates mainly on the factors that affect how many individuals of a particular species live in an area. Estimates of plant populations are generally simplified by the fact that plants don't move and are usually quite easy to find. Animals, on the other hand, are mobile and in many cases very difficult to find. For animals, special techniques are required for studying the or counting the animals. Surveys are done to know about the number of animals, their diversity, their distribution, density, relative density, dominance, frequency, relative frequency, and abundance. Why is it important to count wildlife regularly? See, number of wild animals do not change rapidly. The changes are small and slow. Regular counts at regular interval are necessary to detect change in their population that help in their management. The most important thing is to define or decide the objective of your study. The type or the species and sex of animals, the habitat in which it is found, the number of animals seen, time and season when the animals were seen, and the vegetation around them. By what method the animals were counted, for example, whether it was an aerial water or ground count, or direct or indirect count. Different counting methods are applied to different animals. For large animals like the rhinoceros, elephant, hippo, giraffe, the direct count method could be utilized, while specific sampling methods are used for small and medium sized animals. Total count. A complete count or total count counts every member of the population. Where populations are small, it is possible, but if large number of species and individuals, it is impossible to count them. Then, sometimes total count of colonial animals is possible, such as of waterfowl on lakes, seals on breeding beaches, or elephants in grassland by aerial counts or by taking their video and photographs to be counted later in the laboratory. This also could be done. Total counts rarely used because it is not possible to count animals in a large area. However, it can only be done if the animals are small, they live in small area, the animals are large and they are confined to small areas. Therefore, samples of populations have to be counted to get an estimate number of animals to have an idea about their population. How are small sample surveys done? There are four common ways of doing sample surveys, and these are by foot, walk transects or quadrates, by vehicle, road strip or belt counts, by aircraft, aerial surveys by taking movie or using transect and quadrate, and by ship or by boat using sonar. So these are the various methods wherein we count the animals and do the sample surveys. The transect is a fixed width method. Basically, transect sampling is one of the most widespread ecological techniques for sampling both plants and animals. To implement this technique, the investigator establishes a line, that is the transect line, between 2 points. This sampling is easy and relatively inexpensive for many biologists to use for population estimation. This method is typically used for mobile organisms. The researcher walks along the transect, recording individuals encountered, and when the area is large and one cannot cover the whole of it, but one wants to know the density, that is animal per square kilometer, estimation techniques are used. A small sample is taken, its length and width are predetermined, and so is its area, that is length multiplied by the width, it gives an area, as you all know. You walk along at length and keep counting animals that you see on both sides. Fixed predetermined width of the length. At the end, you have the length, width, multiply it to get area, divide number of animals seen by the area, you will get the density of animals. This is how this transect line method is used. Now you can see this diagram, you see the width and you see the length and you see the animals, and this is actually the area, and you make a count that these many animals were present in a particular given area at a particular time, and also this is just for the census or the animal count, but you also see what are the other things which you come across in that particular habitat, the plants, the animals, because one needs to study the behavior. So we see the age of the animal, the sex of the animal, the other species present. So everything is noted simultaneously during the observation. Thank you.